Formula One heads to Brazil for its last destination in the 2019 season. And after the last round, this final race is set to be an almighty showdown between Sainz, Hamilton, Verstappen, and Aarava. Friday practice started off all dry and sunny in Brazil, and all four contenders looked strong, with the Audis quickest in sectors 1 and 3, but lacking downforce to navigate sector 2 with good apex speed. By contrast, the Mercedes and Jaguar cars looked mighty in sector 2, but were losing ground up the hill in sector 3, with Aarava also consistently losing time through turns 1 and 2. As for McLaren, they were looking able to just about match Audi on the straights once again and could keep pace in Sector 2, but it was poor tire wear that seemed to worry Hamilton the most following his long run. Some rain may aid his race, however, with forecasts of heavy showers for Saturday and intermittent patches on Sunday, but this would also bring Red Bull and Ferrari into the equation, having shown stronger pace in the wet on previous occasions. With all these uncertainties, this weekend's Brazilian Grand Prix is set to be a dramatic ending to what has been an enthralling season-long circus. Time to take a look at the very wet qualifying results for the final round of the 2019 Formula One season from Interlagos in Brazil, and it is Sebastian Vettel who puts his Ferrari on pole position, less than a tenth ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi in second position. The Red Bull driver starting just ahead of his teammate Pierre Gasly, who will start from third position, second row of the grid, and alongside the lead Mercedes car of Max Verstappen. Daniel Ricciardo, quite a ways off his teammate in fifth position, will be joined on the third row of the grid by the other Mercedes of Pascal Wehrlein, who starts just behind his teammate. In seventh position is Carlos Sainz, the lead Audi, way down on the fourth row of the grid, and joined crucially by his championship rival Aarava in the Jaguar in eighth position. Mick Schumacher does manage to get into the top 10 and even goes faster than Lewis Hamilton, puts his Force India into ninth position ahead of both of the McLarens. Then comes Stoffel Vandoorne for the Jaguar team in 11th position alongside Esteban Ocon, who puts in another great qualifying result for Force India. Good result for them on Saturday for Force India. Sergio Perez, only a couple of tenths off his teammate in qualifying, does find himself way down in 13th position alongside the other McLaren of Kevin Magnussen in 14th position. Romain Grosjean in the Haas, disappointed with that 15th position, but does manage to get the better of both the Williams, with Bottas in 16th and Sergio Camara in 17th position. Renault are a team that are very disappointed with their qualifying results, with Hülkenberg starting from 18th, Delatraz from 20th position, and with Sergei Sirotkin splitting them in the Haas from 19th position, and Delatraz only a couple of tenths quicker than the Alfa Romeos, who bring up the final row of the grid with Leclerc ahead of Fuoco.
What's going on, guys? aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 MyDriver career mode, and we are here finally for episode number 15, the finale of this season, season 5, the 2019 MyDriver season at the Brazilian Grand Prix. It all comes down to this: we've had 14 epic and chaotic rounds before this, but now there's one race left for 4 drivers to duke it out for this championship. Those 4 drivers obviously being Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, myself, and Max Verstappen. We are covered by 4 points in this championship. Carlos Sainz 150 down to Max Verstappen's 146. If you did miss episode number 14, the last episode, it was quite a crucial one really for how we got to this situation going into this race, so do go check that out. But here is, as you can see on screen now, the entire summary of the season, race polls and the winners, and it has been quite a hectic one. A lot of different winners. We've had 9 different winners in this season: Perez, Vandoorne, Sainz, Hamilton, Verstappen, Schumacher, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, and myself. It's been quite a hectic season, and although Audi have been, pretty much bulletproof in qualifying, apart from 2 races where it was raining during qualifying, and now I guess you could say third here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. There's a question mark there, but now we know Sebastian Vettel is on pole position. But although Audi have been that dominant in qualifying, come the race, their race car is a little bit nervy and they've not had it all their own way. It's been an absolutely fantastic season, and it all boils down to this now, the last round the Brazilian Grand Prix. So without further ado, let's get into this as those final few drivers at the end there form up the 22-man grid for the final time in MyDriver 2019, and they stare towards those 5 red lights for the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're underway here for the final time in 2019, and Carlos Sainz had a good start. I've had an even better one, so we're going to shoot down on the left-hand side into turn 1. We'll go 3 wide with Sainz and Ricciardo. Up ahead, Verstappen's bogged down, and he's being fought back by his teammate Verline. Ricciardo and Sainz have got back past me. Verstappen's lost the place to Verline. Sebastian Vettel's also lost the place off pole position. Hamilton is behind us now in P9s. We go down. Sainz has overtaken 2 cars there. He's down the inside of Verstappen. That's crucial for the championship. Sainz has already got past all 3 of his rivals there, and he's up into what will be, I think, P5, as we're still trying to defend from P8. Hamilton down my inside, but we're going to have the better line as we climb up the hill. Still trying to fight back on Ricciardo at this stage, because we'll have the better momentum going through this next corner. Right now, you're going to be seeing us going down the inside, and so we'll try and fight and get this P7 from the Australian in the Ferrari. Can we hang it round the outside? This next right-hander locking up and just about managing to avoid contact there on the inside, and we surely will have this. We'll have the better line to the inside. Ricciardo will try his best there. He's still side by side with us, but we'll get it eventually through to the final corner here as we run up the hill to the end of Sector 3. So at this stage of the race, it's good to note that Carlos Sainz and Hamilton have both opted for the soft compound tyre, yellow wall tyre. Max Verstappen on the hard, orange wall, and I'm on the medium. So all 4 of us have gone a little bit differently in this Grand Prix in the opening stint, and Ricciardo may be also using his soft tyres to good use as he has a little bit of a look down my inside. Doesn't quite work, so through turn 2, we're still keeping ahead of him. Up ahead, it looks like Vettel, I think, got back into the lead of the Grand Prix, and also immediately up ahead, you can see there in the distance, Sainz going to make a move on Verline, so he's going to be ahead of both Mercedes cars. Meanwhile, Ricciardo goes down my inside at the end of Sector 1, and he's going to actually get it here. He gets much better traction with his soft tyres compared to my mediums, and he's back up into P7. So Sainz clearly going for the very aggressive strategy versus Verstappen going for maybe more of a cool kind of patient strategy. So we'll have to see how that works out. And at the moment, I'm in the middle kind of awkwardly on medium tyres, unable to really picture who I'm meant to be covering off. We've got Hamilton 2 places back, Verstappen 2 places ahead, and then Sainz 3 places ahead. But at the moment, I'm just focusing on one Daniel Ricciardo in the red Ferrari car up ahead, and we've got really good traction. Can we go round the outside? Going to keep my foot in here, round the outside, just about get it and leave Ricciardo enough room. Ricciardo really respectful racing there to leave each other enough space there on that long left-hander. Very easy to kind of have the inside man squeeze you out. So Ricciardo, respect to him for giving me the room there, and we've made that place and we've re-overtaken. So at the moment, Ricciardo is the one really being a thorn in my plans to try and catch up to the 2 Mercedes cars. And then behind us, we've got the 2 Force Indias scrapping away as they go side by side into turn 1. Beautiful stuff there by Schumacher and Ocon. And so now we swing round, and up ahead, it looks like one of the Red Bull cars has really lost pace. I can't tell, I think it may be Gasly. So Sainz is up into P3 this Grand Prix. Verstappen overtakes the Red Bull car as well. And so Verstappen's up into P4, Gasly down to P5. So he's really lost ground. And so we find ourselves closing up so much there. Look at that, in one sector. The fact that the Red Bull car of Gasly's lost so much pace really closed up everyone there. So now there's about 8 cars covered by about 2 seconds, and now we chuck it down the inside of Pascal Wehrlein, our former Mercedes teammate. No love lost here every single time we fight Pascal. We go around the outside though. Can we squeeze him out and try and just get it on through to our next old teammate, which is Pierre Gasly? So once again, just like the Japanese Grand Prix, I'm finding myself fighting all my former teammates, and it'd be quite easy for them to give me the hardest time possible, because I think every single time, apart from the current relationship I have with Vandoorne as a teammate, all of them are kind of blown up in misery. So I wouldn't be too surprised if Gasly now gives me a hard time, but I should have better pace here. So we both got DRS, but I swing round to the inside. Very aggressive indeed as we get our right front tyre very close to his left front tyre. But we're up the order now, up into P5. So with Verstappen up ahead in P4 and Sainz in P3, this is what the championship now looks like. Carlos Sainz still leads the way in the live standings. Verstappen now moves up into second. I stay put in third, and Hamilton's all the way down in fourth place because he's only in P10 at this stage. So remember, Hamilton's on soft tyres, so the same strategy as Sainz, and he's doing the complete opposite of Sainz. He's not pushing very hard, and he's not making the overtake. So I'm not too sure if the kind of infamous McLaren electrical issues are coming into play, but at the moment, Hamilton needs to be a little bit worried, to be honest. But now we move on to lap 5, the next lap. Gasly comes back at me, so it's not over here. And as well, Ricciardo comes once again. We go 3 wide, a little bit of ping pong there as we go and get sandwiched by both those cars, and we just about survive. Had to lift off the throttle to make sure I gave enough room to either drivers, and so now we're back down to P6, and we find ourselves once again staring at the arse of this Ferrari car, annoyingly. And we've been used to that from last season, but last season obviously it was Sebastian Vettel. This time round in this race it's Daniel Ricciardo. So can we try and re-overtake Ricciardo, I wonder? But we move later on into lap 5. We're actually going to take a look at, this will be Sergio Perez. This is the fight behind us. So Perez is making a move down the inside of Gasly now. So Gasly unable to actually try and fight us, and he's now actually going down the order. So unlike Giovinazzi, Gasly just falling down and down in this Grand Prix. And so this should be a pretty easy move for Perez. Obviously with the Audi engine, we know how much speed it has. So Perez up the order, and now behind them, Berline also overtakes Gasly. So Gasly absolutely bottling this race from what was a fantastic P3 on the grid in qualifying yesterday. And there goes Hamilton right up his gearbox now, followed by my teammate Vandoorne, not too far behind. So that's good to see, at least from him. But now let's take a look at the replay here. Take a little bit of a breather, because so much action there. But let's look at this start, because it was actually quite a chaotic start, and they went 3 wide into turn 1, the 2 Red Bull cars, and Vettel got squeezed down to P3 momentarily, then got back up into P2. The 2 Mercedes actually had a bit of contact through the exit of turn 2, and then there's Sainz and Ricciardo going around the outside of me. I go to the left-hand side, trying to get away from all the action, just so I don't get caught up in any incident, and then go down the inside, obviously. And then you got behind the 2 McLaren cars. Magnussen really had a poor start there. I think he's down to P14, or I think that's where about he started. And then here was the replay of Sainz overtaking the second Mercedes car of Pascal Wehrlein into turn 1. And you can see just off the screen there, that was also how Vettel got into P1. He went down the inside of that final Red Bull car, that was Giovinazzi. And then Sainz actually couldn't make the move completely into turn 1, so you had to wait till the second back straight to get the move done. And look at that, the 2 Red Bull cars go side by side. Giovinazzi overtakes Gasly. So much action in the opening 2-3 laps of this Grand Prix that I just couldn't show you all of it at the same time. So we had to look at a replay there. Good to see there. That's how everything kind of shaked up. So now we move back to the live action now. We're on lap 6. Climbing up the hill is Carlos Sainz, followed by Max Verstappen, then Daniel Ricciardo, and then myself. And up ahead is Giovinazzi coming into the pits for an early pit stop. Vettel continues on. He's on soft tyres. Giovinazzi was on soft tyres. So Vettel going for a bit of a tyre-saving strategy, maybe, prolonging his soft stint. So Vettel continues on P1. Gasly an early pit stop. So that means Sainz is now up into P2. And everyone obviously goes up the order one place. But it's still Verstappen, closely followed by Ricciardo. And maybe Ricciardo may have a look. He's got DRS on Verstappen. So that may be quite crucial for our fight, if Ricciardo can have a fight with Verstappen and fight him and hold him up. And then behind is Hamilton. This is on lap 7. He's already made a pit stop as well on the same lap as Giovinazzi. So here's Giovinazzi finding himself behind the Renault car of Delatraz, and then Hamilton finds himself with a bit of free air just behind the Alfa Romeo and the second Renault of Nico Hülkenberg. So Hamilton really needs to get the foot down if he wants to not kind of lose out in the championship fight, because at the moment he's basically slipping out of even any sort of contention. So he really needs to get going, and I think he may have had some electrical issues. But meanwhile, look at this. As I said, Ricciardo looks at it, and Verstappen's locked up. Ricciardo had a look, didn't make it work, but then in the braking phase, Verstappen is locked up. His hard tyres, surprisingly, maybe not giving him enough traction and grip there, maybe graining possibly. And so Verstappen locks up and bottles it, and he's down to what will be now 3rd place, and now we're right up his gearbox. Can we try and make a move here? So very unusual to see Verstappen flustered there while it's under pressure. And we go down the inside. I make the move. I sense Verstappen's not really right in the right headroom here. We go side by side through the long left-hander. Can we try and stick around the outside? Just like we did with Ricciardo, but this time we opt for this switchback move now. As we climb up the hill, he's going to have the better advantage with the Mercedes engine versus my Land Rover branded Renault engine. So he swoops around the outside, and so we're just going to have to be a bit of a sitting duck here, but we're going side by side down the pit straight as we move on to lap 9 now, into turn 1. Can we try anything? No, we can't. We lock up. We actually tried to maybe think about a late move, but that's why I locked up there. Last minute, thought better of it, but now we continue on, and now we find ourselves in the Mercedes sandwich as Pascal Wehrlein closes up to me, so we might have to do some defending now from Verline as we go on to lap 9 through to the end of Sector 1, and a lovely, lovely panning shot there. And you can see actually in those shots, look at that, the clouds are coming through, so maybe there's some rain to come in. This race is definitely getting a bit darker, so we may have a bit of an even tastier race on our hands, and we opt to dive in early into the pits. Actually, my engineer is talking about maybe getting some clean air, so I dive into the pits. I'm going to actually strap on a set of soft tyres. Now, you may be thinking, why on earth am I doing that? Because here at Brazil, we already know this from practice. Hamilton was saying in practice he was worried about tyre wear. It looks like here, strangely, in this Grand Prix, I don't know what it is, the Pirelli tyres seem to have equaled out quite a bit, and the hard tyres seem to be graining quite a lot for Verstappen, and the soft tyres seem to be performing quite well compared to the mediums. So I'm going to go on softs, and we're going to try a bit more of an aggressive strategy, follow what Sainz and Hamilton are doing. And speaking about Hamilton, up ahead we come out in what will be now P15, and Hamilton up ahead has just made a move on the Alfa Romeo of Leclerc, and up ahead we've got Ricciardo. So we have not kind of got an overcut. Ricciardo's made the undercut work, and he's got ahead of us now in this phase of the Grand Prix, but we're going to chuck it around the outside because Ricciardo is on hard tyres. I just mentioned the hard tyres performing quite poorly actually, so Ferrari maybe have kind of bottled the strategy with Ricciardo there, and so we've gone very easily down his inside now, up into P14, and now a bit of deja vu here because in Season 4 we battle Leclerc around the outside this same corner, and we've gone around the outside of him, and we're up into P13 now, and we can chase down Hamilton, who's finding himself stuck behind the Renault car, but not for too long, because now onto lap 11 he goes down the inside of, I think this will be Delatraz or Hulkenberg, not too sure. I think that may be Delatraz. So Hamilton's overtaken Delatraz, the Renault, and is now right behind Max Verstappen. And so now back to our POV. I'm trying my best to also pull through with Hamilton here, so hopefully we can get past Delatraz with ease. We really close up quite rapidly, just showing the performance difference in downforce to that Renault car from our Jaguar car, easily down the inside of Louis, and we're up the order, and now we can try and chase after Hamilton. We've got DRS wide open. Hamilton is going to equally maybe have a bit of a lunge at Verstappen, so Hamilton and Verstappen holding each other up here, and it's allowed us to close right up here. So we've got 3 out of 4 rivals right next to each other on track, battling it out, and Hamilton is going to get a DRS wide open. Up ahead, we've got Sainz maybe making a move on Gasly, and now we've got Hamilton up the order. He's overtaken Verstappen, and so that will mean he's back into second place, and Verstappen at this stage will actually overtake me in the championship if it ended like this. So Carlos Sainz still in the driving seat very much with that 4th place he's in at the moment. Hamilton in 5th, Verstappen 6th, I'm in P7, but can we try and change things? And as we go through this Grand Prix lap after lap, it's looking darker and darker now, more overcast, so I wouldn't be surprised if my engineers soon on the radio to tell me there's some rain on the way. But back to our fight, we're looking at Verstappen going a bit wide there to get a better cut-in line, and now we get some great traction. Can we try around the outside once again, this same exact place, this time not alongside Verstappen enough there. Verstappen actually greatly parks his car right in the middle to kind of squeeze me off onto the curbing, unfortunately, so good defense there from Verstappen. But can we get in the slipstream? We know how good the slipstream is on this game, despite the lack of power we've got versus Verstappen. And Hamilton's in the pits there. Hamilton has pit early for a second pit stop, and we go side by side with Verstappen. Both the DRS wide open. We go round the outside of the Dutchman. Can we go it through into turn 2? Verstappen may try a bit of a switchback move because he'll have a better line through this exit, and then there's also on the left hand side his teammate Verline, who makes his second pit stop there. I think that will be, or his first pit stop potentially, I'm not too sure about that. I've lost count of how many pit stops Verline's made, but Verstappen's back down the inside of me, and he's got us there. Goes a little bit wide, but he gets it eventually. And Hamilton, though, has made an early pit stop, and so he's made 2 pit stops in 13 laps. So that's a very, very aggressive strategy for Hamilton. Obviously, it did kind of work, because before he made that pit stop, he had jumped myself, Verstappen, and Ricciardo, and he was like 5 places back. So I guess you could say it's working, but if there's going to be some rain on the way, that may really have not worked in his favour. I think Hamilton probably would have benefited from being a bit more patient, because on lap 14, I'm struggling now for grip, because the track is getting a bit damp, and you can clearly see there are some spots of rain, and the track is getting a bit shiny, a bit of sheen there as the water kind of settles on the track, and I'm defending from Verline instead of trying to attack Verstappen. You can see getting wide on the curbing, just losing a bit of grip and having to go a lot slower through this right-hander than I previously did. And there you can see there was definitely a spot of rain coming down on my camera there. So it is definitely going to be time for intermediates as we go on to the end of lap 14. So we're about just under, a couple of laps under, halfway through this Grand Prix. I mean, comically, just about get slowed down for the pit lane, but we actually break the brake marker bollard board, so I'm not too sure if the FI will have any qualms with that. I did make the speed limit, but I have crashed now the kind of how do you say it, the reference point for every driver to kind of slow themselves down there. But oh, look at that, Verstappen's jumped Sainz. Verstappen's jumped Sainz in the pits. So once again, Audi have completely wrecked themselves in the pit stop. We've seen it so many times, time and time again. Famously, I think the time I can remember is back at the German Grand Prix, where both Perez and Sainz lost out in the pit stop phases. And once again here at the Brazilian Grand Prix, Sainz is now behind Verstappen. He's going to have to try and overtake Verstappen on track, and Verstappen and Mercedes have done it in the pit lane. So Verstappen's now ahead of Sainz. So I'm not too sure what that means for the championship yet. We're not going to get a live standing update just yet. But now Sainz will have to overtake Verstappen on track in the wet. And we know how hard of a task that may be for the Audi car. But saying that, as we go on towards lap 16, Sainz, there he goes down the inside on the move. Verstappen, he's locked up though. Oh my God, he's off circuit. That's absolutely fantastic. The championship leader's off circuit, and instead of gaining a place, he's lost one. That is absolutely amazing to witness. This is how much pressure all these drivers are under. This is how much intensity this finale has, that you got Sainz making a do-or-dive move to try and get a place from Verstappen, and instead just gets it horribly wrong, locks up, and now he finds himself defending from Ricciardo, Gasly and Magnussen. And in the background is Vandoorne. And where is Lewis Hamilton in all this, I wonder? There he is. He's making the move on Antonio Giovinazzi, and because of this, he's actually outside the top 10 at this stage. So this is exactly what I said. He made that early pit stop for softs, I'm guessing, for another set of softs, but he didn't know the rain was going to come, or McLaren didn't tell him the rain was going to come. So now he's outside the top 10, and if it ended like this, Verstappen would be winning the championship, Sainz would be in second, I'd stay put in third, unfortunately. Even though I'm ahead of Sainz now, I'm not going to get enough points in this position to overtake Sainz or Verstappen. So yeah, but Hamilton majorly has got this wrong at the moment, and now Sainz is going to be really frustrated with himself, and he needs to rethink, recompose to get himself back into this race, because that was a bad mistake for him. He went for it, fair enough, but now he needs to, recompose, get back into this. And meanwhile, for the other person who's ready to get back into this, Hamilton now finally makes the move on Giovinazzi, but he's still outside the top 10. He's still got, I think, about 3 positions to overtake to even get onto the back of the top 10, because he's got this Haas car now. I think Romain Grosjean, I think this will be, or either Sorokin. I think it's Grosjean in the Frenchman in the Haas car. So Hamilton unable to make a move into turn 1 on lap 19 a few laps later, but through turn 2 he'll just psych himself up here. He'll have traction. He won't have DRS, obviously. It's not enabled under intermediate conditions, but the Honda engine should help him pull through and get this move. Here he goes on the left hand side, and up ahead you can see is the Honda powered Williams car of Seta Camara there. So Hamilton up the order now. I think this is probably around P12 or P11. I think this will be. I think P12. So Hamilton's still got some work to do, but he's got free air and looks like he's got some good pace in the wet. We know how good a driver Hamilton is in the wet. And meanwhile, I'm just about hanging on to the steering wheel of this Jaguar car up the hill in P4, just trying to survive at the moment. I am not even thinking about trying to catch these Mercedes guys, because they've got some lightning pace in the wet. By the way, if you didn't know already, on the top left as well, Sebastian Vettel's the one that lead this Grand Prix. We've got the Mercedes in second and third, and I'm in fourth place there. So if you're wondering who was leading there, it is Vettel. He's been leading this Grand Prix since he got into the lead early on this Grand Prix. So he's looking mighty to maybe get Ferrari's first win of the season. Kind of crazy to say that, but meanwhile, we've got Verline maybe making a move on Max Verstappen. They go side by side, the Mercedes guy, they make contact. Verstappen comes back round the outside of Verline in the second phase of that left-hander. So this may be good, because I just mentioned I'm not trying to think about overtaking the Mercedes cars, because I don't have the pace. I'm just trying to survive at the moment. It doesn't look like I have the downforce for it in the wet here, but if the Mercedes cars continue to fight like that, I could definitely close up to them. Meanwhile, behind us, back to this fight with Hamilton. He's now up the order on lap 20, round the outside of the Brazilian in the Williams Seta Camara, and this will be, I think, P11, so just outside the points now. And the next car for Hamilton to close up to will be Stoffel Vandoorne, who's on the end of that train that's led by Carlos Sainz, who's behind me in P5. So there's a train from P5 to P10 that Hamilton can try and close up to. Now back onto the sector 3 of lap 20. Still going on is Verline v Verstappen, and Verline is looking very punchy indeed. He go down the inside of Verstappen. Verstappen. Here we go. Clearly no team orders for Mercedes to try and help Verstappen in this championship fight. They go side by side through turns 1 and 2. They actually hold each other up massively there on the curbing. You can see in the background, I've closed up so much in the background there. There I go in the distance, and Verstappen's now down to P3. So in the championship, that actually won't mean too much for Verstappen, actually. So maybe that's why Mercedes aren't holding back on Wehrlein and they're having any team orders, because Verstappen would still have enough points to overhaul Carlos Sainz and would still finish up in first place in the championship if it was to end like this. But back onto lap 23, 3 laps later, Verstappen's having none of it. He wants to try and get the highest position possible, obviously being a racer through and through. Here he goes on the left-hand side, down the inside of Wehrlein, and he's going to get back up into second place. They go side by side through turn 1, and they're holding up each other up once again through turn 2, and I really close up now, and now I'm smelling some blood here. Can I try and overtake Wehrlein with some slipstream down this back straight? And behind me, Sainz is also closing up. That entire train from P5 of Sainz down to P10 of Vandoorne, they're all closing up. And Wehrlein's locked up. Wehrlein's locked up ahead of me. I tried to maybe pressurize him, and he's complete. I've just done that. Wehrlein's locked up quite badly, just like his teammate did previously in the dry conditions. Wehrlein in the same corner in the wet has locked up there, so now he's down to P4. I'm up into the podium position to P3. And meanwhile, there is Lewis Hamilton, who's closing up ever so more to this train of now 5, maybe becoming 6 with Wehrlein. And Sainz has gone down the inside of Wehrlein. Carlos Sainz has overtaken Pascal Wehrlein. They'll go side by side through turn 1, through turn 2. It's not over yet, actually, I should say. Sainz now going to try and get it on traction, and actually Wehrlein gets it horribly wrong. Ricciardo overtakes the German, and so now what this will mean in the championship, because I'm up into P3, I will actually be up into second place if it ended like this in the championship. You can see Gasly, I think that is, makes a move on Wehrlein, so Wehrlein's down 3 positions. So Wehrlein's struggling so much now in the intermediates. He's lost 3 positions in the span of 2 laps there. And Hamilton, you can see, has now closed up fully to this top 10 fight. So he'll be in P11, but he'll be smelling points now with 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. That is quite big for Hamilton now, because as you can clearly see now, a lot of people coming to the pits, including myself, because it is time for the dry tyres. It's started to dry up here, and it's going to get a little bit sunnier towards the end of this Grand Prix with 10 laps to go. So I'm going to strap on a set of soft tyres compared to, I think, Verstappen has gone with a set of mediums. And I think a couple of people I saw maybe behind me have gone on hard. So just like the opening stints, very, very different variety of what people are going on. Like I said, the Pirelli tyres seem to be very oddly kind of equalised in terms of tyre wear. It's really just about which car prefers which tyre. And I felt like from the opening stints, the soft tyre was performing a lot better for me versus the mediums. And so now we're closing right up on Verstappen. We're actually going to make a little bit of a dive bomb move down the inside here of Verstappen, who have caught napping. So as the sun comes down here, it's going to be a straight fight between myself and Verstappen at the moment. He actually parks the bus and brake checks me mid-corner on that left-hander, and he's closed me up now to Gasly in the mirrors, and Kevin Magnussen, that's the orange car you can see, that's not Hamilton, that's Magnussen, who's an absolutely flipping fantastic. Remember, he was down in P14 at one stage in this race, and now he's up in P5. So Kevin Magnussen, the last race winner, the winner of the Australian Grand Prix, doing fantastically. Meanwhile, his teammate, as I mentioned, who needs to get a move on in this Grand Prix, is making a move down the inside of Stoffel Vandoorne, and so that will see him up into P9, so he'll get 2 points from that. Sainz, where he would be, he would get 8 points. I think that will be, I think I'm trying to do some mental maths there. I think I want to say P7 or P6, and then I'm in P4, P3 I should say, and Verstappen's in P2, so 18 to 15 points. Verstappen there, you can see, would still be leading the championship in the live standings, but we're going to try and spoil the party if we can. Right up behind Verstappen, we're going to make a little bit of an easy move down the inside, actually very gently on the brakes, just let the car roll through there. Verstappen aggressive there, trying to push me off on the right hand side. He's not giving me too much room, so we have to take to the curbing a little bit, but we're still on the side, we're still side by side on the inside there, and we've squeezed him out. But on towards the hill of the same lap, Verstappen climbs up with that Mercedes engine, uses that to drag his car through, and he's again aggressively trying to kind of force me a little bit wide there, and he's got it with DRS. I've got no DRS to defend, remember, so I'm just having to try and make a move in the brake zone. We do it. Verstappen once again caught napping, and I go side by side with the Dutchman. He forces me wide though, and that's going to hold us both up, and there comes Gasly and Magnussen. Gasly in the Red Bull, Magnussen in the McLaren. We've opened DRS, but it's no use. Gasly and Magnussen have the momentum, and they both go down my inside, I'm not going to try and fight them as much as I can, because there's no need to. I'm looking at Verstappen, the one behind me. There's no point trying to lop off a bit of my front wing or get in an accident by trying to aggressively fight Magnussen there. So I'll let those two go. I'm focusing on Verstappen here. I need to play it calmly and cleverly here if I want to try and actually fight for this championship so far. And on lap 30, Hamilton is down the inside of Verline in the battle behind us in that train. So at the moment, the live standings are myself in first place, ahead of Sainz, Verstappen in third, Hamilton fourth in the live standing championship. So it's all getting rather tasty at the moment. But meanwhile, up ahead for P2, this battle between Magnussen and Gasly. Magnussen locks up there into turn 1. They'll go side by side, the Frenchman and the Dane. We'll go through turns 2, just trying to get the best line possible, because these two have held each other up. I lift off though, because I don't want to smash into the back of Gasly's gearbox, and that was good because it meant now I can go round the outside of Pierre, and we're up into P3 now. Will Verstappen make the move on Gasly? I wonder. Yes, he will, as Gasly tucks in, and Verstappen's actually dived it round the outside of me. We go side by side through the long left-hander, and this is the battle for P3. We're still side by side. Verstappen's still on the inside. We're trying to go round the outside now, up the hill into the heart of Sector 2, and right now we're going to lop off Verstappen at the apex. Look behind me just to check he's not there, and that's fine. We don't need to give him the room there, and we're up into P3 now, and behind us, the battle's not over in this train. This train's absolutely fantastic with Sainz and Ricciardo, and look at this. I think Ricciardo's going to go for a move. Yes, he will. Daniel Ricciardo and the Ferrari goes down the inside of Sainz's Audi, and he's up the order. I think that will be P6, I want to say, and so Sainz down to P7. Hamilton now right up the gearbox of his main rival in the table going into this race, right behind Sainz. So we've got two contenders side by side with each other, myself and Verstappen, and Sainz and Hamilton now on to lap 32. Speaking of Verstappen, he goes down my inside with DRS. I lock up a little bit, go wide into turn 2. That's going to compromise my line, and so Verstappen may get a better run. He'll have DRS as well. I won't have any DRS, and Gasly will also have DRS, so I may be a bit of a sitting duck here. There goes Verstappen, there goes Gasly around my outside. We're going to briefly go 3 by 3. Gasly now goes side by side with Verstappen. The two former teammates from Red Bull go side by side. There's a bit of contact there with Verstappen and Gasly as Verstappen locked up there. He's locked up twice now in that corner there, so he's having a bit of issue, but we close right up the gearbox to Verstappen, go down the inside. Not going to let him rest there because he's probably looking ahead at Gasly and not focusing on me behind. We go round the outside once again. This time we don't get squeezed out by him to the inside because he got the momentum round there, and so maybe Verstappen's medium tyres aren't performing as good as he wants them to versus my soft tyres, so we're back up into P4 and he'll be down to P5. Meanwhile, back to this train at lap 32, a little bit further back. Obviously they're still on lap 32, now going on to lap 33, and there we go, the crucial move there for Hamilton at least to have a fighting chance at least in the championship. You never know what can happen in the last 3 laps, so Hamilton is now up the order and he's overtaken Sainz, and that will mean he'll be in third place in the live standings at the moment, and for now I'm in first and Verstappen's in second in the live standings. But you can see there on the run up the hill I got a bit of oversteer, so Verstappen's going to have a good run. He's also going to have DRS and slipstream, so all 3 of those things are going to put this fight into his favour now as we go across the line onto lap 34. I try and squeeze him to the left, now going to go to the racing line, take a Y line to try and get a nice tight line into turn 1, try and set ourselves up for turn 2, but it looks like Verstappen once again has got a better run through turn 2. I've been really quite poor through this entire first section of the lap all race long. We've got DRS wide open, but it's no use. We can't close up to Verstappen at the moment, so he's up into P4, I'm down to P5, and so we have to try and maybe close up in sector 2 if we can, where we've been pretty damn good all race long. Meanwhile, back behind Lewis Hamilton, he's been overtaking so many cars in this Grand Prix, and he's looking to overtake another because he's now behind Daniel Ricciardo, as behind Sainz is now struggling to keep at bay Pascal Wehrlein. But here goes Hamilton, DRS wide open on the left hand side in his orange McLaren. He's up the order, and that will be P6 for Hamilton, and so that will see him get 8 points there. So we will be level on points, myself and Hamilton, if it was to end like this. But we've got 1 and a bit laps left through this last sector, and then it's the last up the Grand Prix. So this is basically it, do or die stuff. I didn't think I was going to be in this championship fight. We weren't meant to be with Jaguar's first season in F1, but I'm here, so I may as well try and be the biggest nuisance possible to Max Verstappen, and let's try and go for this, shall we? We're going to maybe half dive it down the inside, think better of it, because I want to set myself up for this back straight. If we can try and get a good enough exit, it's not going to work though. We've lost a bit of traction there, and so we're going to have to try and close up, and as I said, try and maybe do this in sector 2. Maybe that's the only place we can do this, but we do close up with DRS. press, under braking. We go through this turn, trying so hard, pushing so hard, going the opposite lock as we try and just wrestle the car to try and keep up with Verstappen's Mercedes. Into Sector 2 though, this is where I can gain some time here. Everyone else has been poorer than me through these corners, so can we try and close up right up the gearbox of Verstappen, put him under pressure, maybe force him into a mistake like we've seen previously in this Grand Prix. As we're coming through to the famous corner where I've done so many moves before, we're going to try and get the switchback line, try and get the traction. Can we try and hang it round the outside on this left-hand? Verstappen parks the car in the middle. Once again, deja vu for me as I go on the curbing there. And so as we climb up the hill, I'll have traction, I'll have the slipstream, but can we try and do this? This will be a run to the line between Max Verstappen and myself. We go to the left, trying to find some room to even make a move, and across the line, it's going to be Max Verstappen that takes 4th place in the Brazilian Grand Prix and will take his first World Championship in Formula 1. What a race that has been, and what a race I gave Verstappen. I gave it my all, I tried it, and on the line, it finishes at the death. Less than a 100th of a second. Oh my god. I need to take a breath. Oh my god. My heart is pounding after that. What a commentary that has had to be. Oh my god. What a race. Oi oi oi. We really weren't meant to be in this fight. This Jaguar car was not meant to be in this championship fight. But we gave them a run for their money. We gave Verstappen, Sainz and Hamilton a real fight for their money. And after that, I think you could say Verstappen's deserved that. He's earned it after the fight I gave him there on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel wins the Brazilian Grand Prix to make it Ferrari's first win this season. And that means that 7 constructors, I think that is, have been on the top step of the podium, I think. Which is absolutely insane, meaning this has definitely been the most competitive season in MyDriver. And in the Drivers' Championship, it's going to end like we saw in the live standings earlier on. It's going to be Max Verstappen ending it 1 point ahead of myself and Hamilton on a deadlock. Obviously, I finish in second because I'm ahead of him on track in this final race. And so I finish in second. Hamilton level on points third. Carlos Sainz goes from first to fourth in this championship, having also finished behind Verline there at the end of that race. And I know maybe some of you guys think I don't keep track of everything. I do. So here's the bottom half of the table. Valtteri Bottas with those upgrades with Honda for the Williams car at the end from Baku, you remember. Bottas is able to overhaul Schumacher's early big tally to get ahead of him in the championship. P13, 44 points. Schumacher, though, we can't fault what he's done this season in the Force India. Absolutely amazing to win one race in a Force India car and to get 42 points. Absolutely amazing. Completely has embarrassed his team at Esteban Ocon. Despite the commiserations for Sainz, it's going to be bittersweet for Audi because they are going to pull off a very fantastic Constructors World Championship. Audi, their second season only in Formula 1, and they've won the F1 World Championship. Congratulations, Audi. You got to say, they've done an absolutely stellar job. Yes, they've gone unlucky, but you can't fault the engineering prowess of what they've done. They built the most OP engine in the history of F1, I think. Audi, they couldn't be matched on the straight. Absolutely amazing. And so they've won the championship there. McLaren Honda gets second place. Remember, at one point, they were struggling for fourth. And now they've got back into second. A late fight with Hamilton and Magnussen finally pulling his weight. And they've got ahead of Mercedes, who come in third place. Very strange. They win the drivers, but they come in third in constructors. It's not too unusual, though, for Mercedes. Remember, when I won the championship for Mercedes in my third season back in 2017, yeah, Mercedes didn't win the constructors then. So Mercedes are, it's not unusual for them to win the drivers and not the constructors right now in MyDriver. And Jaguar, unfortunately, we can only come in fourth, so that will mean we lose a bit of prize money, but hey-ho, we tried our best. It's our first season as a Jaguar unit, rebranded from Toro Rosso, and as I said many times, I only thought about the championship this race. I honestly wasn't thinking about the championship until this final race. Next season is the one where I'm looking to really mount a challenge with the Jaguar engine. I'm looking forward to maybe, hopefully, a scrap between me and Vandoorne. That'll be great to see. We'll have to see how the Jaguar engine fares. And so, as I want to try and wrap this video up, here is a bit of a history lesson for you guys. If you have forgotten, here is the entire history of F1 MyDriver in terms of the championships, what team I've driven for, and then what respected driver and constructor has won in that season of MyDriver. But that caps off Season 5. What a race. What a season, guys. If you have enjoyed it, hit that like button. I believe last season's finale, Season 4, is on 4,000 likes at the moment. Now, obviously, that's over time. So I'm going to say it'd be absolutely amazing, guys, if we try and aim for like 3,000 likes on this episode. For like the entire Season 5, basically. Smash the like button, guys. It would be so great to see it up to like 3,000 likes or something like that. That'd be awesome to try and set a target like that. Let me know, as usual, what you thought in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of that race, that entire season. But, yeah, that was F1 MyDriver 2019 Season 5. I can confirm Season 6 will happen on F1 2016, the game. It will happen. There'll be a bit of a break, though, till it, because if you didn't know, I'm actually in the middle of some exams right now, so I need some time to prep the seasons. It takes hours to make all the mods to get it ready to even start round 1, and I haven't really started any of it because I've been focusing on just making the videos. I mean, it takes hours to make the videos itself, so there will be a bit of a break, but I kind of like that because it will basically build the hype a little bit. It'll almost be like it's, you know, some of you guys like to joke that, you know, it should be on like Netflix or something. It'll be like an actual series on Netflix or like a TV show. Like there'll be a bit of a break between the end of one season and the beginning of the next season. A bit of a hiatus there. So there will be a few weeks there. I'm hoping to start it around mid-June, I would say, is my kind of guesstimate for when Season 6 will start. MyDriver 2020, which will be the third and final season of Phase 2 of MyDriver on F1 2016, the game. But guys, as always, I say it every single time, just thank you. Just thank you so much for showing MyDriver so much love like you guys do. You know, hands down, my favorite series to make of all time. It's I hope it comes off comes you know, off from the commentaries, but I just enjoy watching the races back myself just for pure pleasure like that. It's just awesome because by the time I edit the videos, sometimes there might be quite a few days before the edit and the commentary, so I sometimes forget what's happened in the race, and so it genuinely is so enjoyable for me to make. I love making these storylines and these mods up for you guys behind the scenes and then just watching your reaction to it. It's just awesome for me and definitely my favorite series. I say it every single time and it's not going to change anytime soon, I don't think. So thank you guys so much for the support on this season. Yet again, the 5th season, my longest running series on the channel now. Again, if you guys have enjoyed it, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around, then do subscribe for weekly F1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day and I will see you guys next time.
They say